Hello there, collective. I hope this reaches you well, however it finds you. I received a download today of two movies. Now, I want to tell you that I was thinking, what would I discuss with the collective today? What is it that I need to bring through? And I just started thinking about these two films and the twin flame journey. The twin flame journey is very controversial. People have taken it and somehow made it this fantastical journey of finding love and happily ever after. And they've kind of romanticized it. And hey, that's fine if that's how you feel about it. But people don't like to talk about it too much because of everything they've put into it. And then what's gotten out of the journey may not look exactly as what one hoped for. I am here to give my own interpretation. And everything that I say, it is learned through experience. And before I even start, I just always encourage you to always do your own research on anything that anyone else says, including myself, because how you perceive the intake of knowledge is going to be different than my own perception, right? Our experiences shape our truth. So your truth and your knowledge will be different than mine, just fundamentally based because we're different. We were born different. We have different experiences that make up our world. So just know that anything that I ever say to you is from my own experience, and you will have your own experience. So shape your knowledge and your truth from that. Don't necessarily shape your truth from what I say. I am actually here as a conduit. I'm here to give you a perspective from myself so that if you do see anything that kind of correlates with what's going on with your life, you might be able to learn something new or gain from my experience and kind of combine that with your own and make your truth what is for you. Okay? So please keep that in mind because I just want to spark something in you to go out and seek your knowledge. I'm here to light that flame, so to speak, so that you can go out and learn for yourself. That's why I'm here. Okay? So in terms of the twin flame journey, and I'm sure I'll have more to say, and I want to know if you want to discuss something, please do let me know in the comments. But basically, I want to kind of describe it from what I've seen and learned for myself. And I'll start with two different ways to describe. Okay. The first way I'm going to describe the twin flame journey is an experience of coming in contact with your twin flame and just knowing that there's something else. It's just a feeling. It's not this, oh my God, I've seen you before. I remember us fighting on the battlefield. You were my king. I was your queen. None of that, right? I mean, maybe you go through that. Who knows? But basically what I'm talking about is that there is that tie, there is that pull, there is something in that person that feels almost at home. There is something in that person that makes you grow. Sometimes it's you want to grow. Sometimes they just make you grow through a push and pull, but you're going to grow from that connection regardless. And one way I can describe it is I want you to understand that what I've learned from a tarot reader that I follow is that everyone, I mean, you can have many soulmates in life. But I don't know if necessarily you can have more than one twin flame at a time. You can have a twin flame, and then that contract can be void, right? One may step away from the other, but there is there's going to be that connection. And I say that because sometimes even when on the physical realm, the connection is over, there's something in the ethereal realm. There's something in the 5D. There is something that connects you to. There is that type of love that is indescribable, that can stay. And I would say that in terms of the twin flame journey, if I were to say that you can have many soulmates but only one twin flame, I would liken that to, say, when you have like someone that you've had that love with, right? And then 70, 80, 65, you're starting over in a new relationship because maybe you were married, right? And you guys did it right and you stayed together and you had that love, right? But for some reason or another, you lost that person, like they physically died. I do feel like if you have learned lessons, and if you are still on a journey, and if you still want love, I do feel that someone else gets activated, right? And I think that that can happen at any age. That can happen if you lose that person that you had that special connection with, that tie with, that bond that went beyond words. And if you lose that person, I do feel that someone else gets activated, right? That one person that can start that change in you, that one person that can make you change. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll always be with them, right? If one person passes, they're gone. Or if that contract is voided because, growth needed to happen and one person wasn't growing or accelerating at the same rate of another, it needs to go. So you either have the person get activated for you and you're with that twin flame, or you both need to separate. Okay. And the way that I think about it, that kind of describes when the separation must happen. The best film that I have seen so far that kind of explains it, not all of it, but there's that part of it that's in there. And I know they got it from the twin flame journey, was Hitchcock. You have Will Smith's character and you have Charlize Theron's character, and like they're made for each other, right? But no matter what they do, when they come together, catastrophe happens, right? But when they part ways, they can be great alone. And there's that longing, there's that tether to come together, there's that bond. But they can't be together because it is more destruction than anything else, no matter the feelings that they have for each other. And sometimes in part of the twin flame journey, no matter what you do, as I said, if one accelerates past the other, or if one is not open to learning those lessons that need to be learned, and that stifles the growth between you two, because the twin flame journey is about growth. And you know what? You're going to either grow together or you're going to grow apart, but Spirit makes it so that growth happens. And so sometimes, no matter what you do, if you are not aligned and if you are not in a complete and total understanding of truth, of clarity, of communication, of understanding that you're in this to grow together, no matter what, then you will be placed apart, because then it is no longer something that is sustainable for a solid foundation for you to go together. And sometimes that happens in the twin flame journey. And sometimes, like I said, this illusion has been built, right? That you have to suffer through the pain of one another because you're meant to be together. And the truth is, yes, at one time you were meant to be together. Yes, at one time you were aligned such that that contract was activated from what you planned before you even came here with that person. And you said, we are going to do this together. The thing is that when you come into the physical world, there is free will on this earth. And one or the other sometimes chooses to not do what they initially started out to do. And that is part of the lesson. Part of the lesson in the twin flame journey is not only to come together with someone so that you can grow, but also come into a wholeness of your own, a wholeness within yourself. And it's not becoming whole once you find your twin. It is becoming whole and finding that other person that you can learn and grow with and become even better. But see, what happens is that through that journey, sometimes it turns toxic, and sometimes there are behaviors that come into play, and sometimes you can get caught up in the toxicity and not leave it. When that happens, that is being unaligned. And spirit did not bring you two together to be unaligned. So then sometimes your purpose changes with each other. And the purpose goes from growing together to learning together and the understanding that ultimately being apart is the best thing if one is on one trajectory and one is on the other. Sometimes it then has to do with self-worth, what you will accept from a partner, what you will settle for. And I want you to understand that as part of this journey, if you settle for less in any part of your life, but especially within that twin flame journey, if you settle for less from the person that you look deep in their eyes and love more than anything and want their happiness more than anything and want them to have a good life and a good life with you, and you want a good life with yourself. But if you're settling for treatment that is not aligned with what you want, what you feel, that's going to be the frequency that you send out. That twin flame is then going to keep giving you the frequency that you're accepting of settling for less. And if you're in that energy and they're in that frequency, they're going to show you and then they're going to give you exactly what you feel about yourself. That is the twin flame. That is the mirror. And when you are faced with something like that in the journey, it is your choice to accept it or not. To keep going through those negative cycles, fine. You're going to learn either way. Or you can move on from that, focus on you, focus on becoming more grounded in who you are, knowing who you are, and also knowing what you are and are not going to accept. And change your own mindset and grow from that. Either way, the both of you are going to grow. And sometimes when you're learning those lessons and going through cycles over and over again, when you finally decide that this is enough, that does become the point where you and your twin must part ways. And if you and your twin part ways and you both are still alive, it is painful. And it will be more and more painful the more and more you keep dealing with your twin and not working on yourself and accepting life as it is and accepting the toxicity. You will create more destruction in your life. And it's hard to let go. It's painful, but it gets worse and worse every cycle. If you know, and if Spirit knows, if the universe knows that that is not where you're meant to be, those are not the feelings you're meant to have, you've got to let go, because each time you go back and there is no healing, there is no redirections, those towers become worse, because change must happen. And sometimes in order for change to happen, there's either transformation or there's an ending. There's either transformation on the partner's part, but after time and time again, if that transformation is not happening, that is where part of the journey is sometimes parting ways. And I think that you do go on and find a soulmate. From my interpretation, I don't think that the twin flame journey necessarily is ever over with that person if they're still on this earth. But I think the reason why it's still there, even if they're on this earth, is because that is a reminder of where you do not want to go back to. That is a reminder of what you are truly worth, or what you are not going to accept as what your worth is. So yeah, if your twin flame is here, just know that, take a look at that Hitchcock film. And just the part that shows, like, the closer they are, the more they're together, even though you want it so bad. Sometimes you're better apart than together. But it also depends on the both of you. And I want you to notice what I'm saying, what I've been saying, your partner, the both of you. This journey, the two of you, alignment. That is not 3 or more parties. So I'm going to tell you immediately, any other individuals in that connection, any other third party situations, stepping out, giving energy to others and not bringing it into that union, there's going to be problems. So that's why I hesitated talking about the twin flame journey. However, I felt like there was a need for me to do so. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the weak, because there is something in it about follow through. And not everyone follows through in this day and age. There's something about commitment. There's something about staying steadfast in your beliefs and convictions. It is deep. It is very deep. And it can be wonderful. It can be beautiful. And it can also be heartbreaking. But understand it's a lesson that you're here for and you're strong enough to endure. And as I said, it's not just about the other individual. Twin flame journey has to do with yourself, your own beliefs, how you move through the world. And a lot of the time, it's not just relationship. It is work, it is family, and it is the friendships that you make, right? Everything that makes up your world, everything that is within you that has made up everything that you see around you. We all are here with a choice. And even if you feel like you found your twin, I'm quite aware of who my twin is. Even if you feel that you found your twin, sometimes it does not necessarily mean that that's the end all be all. I'll probably address more. I hope that helps you a little. And I encourage you to go and to look into the twin flame journey if you feel like this has piqued your interest at all, and try to come to a better understanding of what that means for you and for the life that you want, and what you want out of the people around you, and what you want to give those that you love around you. Have a wonderful day, collective. Thanks for listening. Till next time.